Well, a very, very happy Monday, and welcome to another episode of the TNC Sports Talk. My name is Justin. Today is December 1st of 2025, and the official countdown to Christmas and the official countdown to the end of the year has begun, and we are kicking things off. I got a couple good subjects for you guys here in today's episode. We're talking about and recap WWE Survivor Series that took place this past Saturday, and we'll take a look at the Cincinnati Reds' victory on Thanksgiving as they beat the Baltimore Ravens 32-14. We'll break down the AFC North standings and where do the Bengals fit in a possible postseason uh, appearance if they can, and what scenarios are we looking at? So we have a lot to talk about. I hope everyone had themselves a good Thanksgiving. It was a blast. Um, I take a lot of pride in Thanksgiving meals every time we get a chance to, have, the entire family over, make it filled. I don't like just to cook for myself or, me and my wife. I like to cook for my, the kids and invite friends over. And the overall goal is right is that you want the day to be smooth as possible, everything to come out just perfect, and no bickering, no fighting, nothing like that. And you know uh that this past weekend, although it was tireless effort, between Thanksgiving, you had a little bit of Black Friday shopping, you had a couple other things going on over the weekend, and all I can say is we made it. And it does resemble in my voice a little bit. Kind of dealt with a little bit of a sinus allergy symptoms over the weekend. It kind of been passed around from my wife to the kids to to me. Kind of got the back end of it. Last night was terrible, um, and I'm still a little bit congested, but that's not going to stop me from doing a podcast here today. So that's what we are here doing and working for. And now we got to turn our attention to the holidays. Christmas is a big one, getting those last minute shopping stuff out of the way with. I can tell you for me, we are completely done with Christmas shopping. We start back in October, November. So it's not just we try to take advantage on some deals. I know I took advantage of some Target deals on buy one get one 50% off on board games, and a couple of things on Amazon that went on sale that we ended up purchasing a few things. So you take advantage of those deals, but it also creates some time that families can deal with some financial struggles because you are getting gifts for everyone, and making sure bills are paid and making sure this and that is all accomplished. All fine and dandy, all fine and dandy. But anyways, wherever you guys are at, I just want to wish you guys a safe and secure holiday season this year. If you guys have that little extra money to spend, I encourage you guys to check on out Enlightened Studios Incorporation in town. Coming up here, we have 2 weekends, not one weekend, 2 weekends coming your way, as Enlightened Studios Incorporation is proud to present its upcoming theater production called Grassroots. They'll have 2 weekends of production, February 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And then February 27th, March 1st, and March 2nd. A total of 8 performances. Fridays will be at 7 o'clock at night. Saturdays we'll have 2 performances, one at 2 and one at 7. And on Sunday, they wrap things up at 2 o'clock. And tickets are still available. If you guys did not get your Black Friday tickets, where tickets kind of went on sale, you get a chance to, we'll provide you another opportunity again at the end of the year. And I'll give you more details as that time comes closer. But tickets are available at the at tickettailor.com. /events /Enlightened Studios. You could also type Google search Ticket Tailor Grassroots. I will copy a link in the description below. They want to see you out there. It's supposed to be a big event. I'm excited. I think a lot of people are excited. I know Terry and the crew are excited to be putting on this production. They're putting a lot of a lot of effort and work, late nights to get this production going. And you're starting to see the picture square away. So I know we got some time at the end of February. There's 2 weekends to check it out, 8 performances. We encourage you guys to get out there. I'll leave the description down below, but you can head on over to tickettailor.com for more information. It'll be held at the Archville, 5021 Wetzel Avenue in Cincinnati, Ohio, 45227. Get your tickets today. Set in the 1950s neighborhood where lawns were immaculate, but equality is far from it. Grassroots follows the Gibson family, the first black homeowners on the block, as they comfort the quiet, cutting injustice of daily life. When the neighborhood mailman shows respect to every white household, but pointedly tramples across the Gibson's carefully kept lawn, a tense standoff brews between dignity and discrimination. Told on a single set of vivid stage-directed and original music, Grassroots is a moving story for family, resilience, and the courage it takes to stand firm, one blade of grass at a time. Get your tickets still available by heading on over to Taylor Tickets or tickettailor.com. Excited for that one. But let's get right down into it, because Survivor Series took place last Saturday. And I don't know about you, but this is the last PLE of the season. Usually around this time for me, the WWE is kind of lackluster. The reason why I say that is because you have the holiday season, you have people going on vacation, they're doing a lot of pre-recordings for shows. For example, Black Friday's episode of SmackDown was already recorded a week ahead of time, and it opens up for a lot of spoilers. Now, for me, I guess I just prefer live shows. I don't want to know what's happening before. I don't care to know what happens after. I want to see what's happening when it happens. I don't want a pre-recording weeks in advance, especially when things get leaked and spoiled. Last week, we talked about a couple of the matches that were scheduled to take place for the John Cena retirement tour. We learned that Sheamus was injured, and WWE made an attempt to kind of do this Powerball selection of who was going to replace Sheamus in this tournament. Well, earlier in the week, a source leaked out that The Miz was going to replace Sheamus, and he ends up losing to LA Knight. And it happened, but you kind of already now know going into SmackDown that The Miz is going to be announced. That's his name's going to be ticketed, and he's going to represent and take over Sheamus' spot. And still, he didn't win. So, I don't know. This coming up holiday season, I understand you want these athletes to spend a lot of time with their families and friends and loved ones. And I do. I want them to do that. But to me, I'd rather have them miss an episode and just do shit, go back on highlights and whatnot, than try to put together a show that's taped and pre-recorded. That is just my opinion. We head into Saturday. So you think about, you have Thanksgiving, you have SmackDown, and then you head into Saturday where it's Survivor Series from Petco Park, San Diego, California. Beautiful state. Loved it. Went back there earlier this year. Unfortunately, was to lay my grandmother to rest. But got a chance to revisit some old places I loved going to growing up. Got a chance to stop by my old house I used to live at. Drive into the old town. see some friends, see some family. Just a good time. Felt very different than where I live at now. It's kind of getting into the end of summer, so things dried out. Grass wasn't green. Saw the Snapdragon Stadium. And I'm excited for Survivor Series being at Petco Park. I don't remember the last time. The last time I remember a PLE happening in San Diego specifically was 2007, 2008 elimination or Extreme Rules. The last thing I clearly remember from a PLE was when Edge throws The Undertaker off of a ladder to win the World Heavyweight Championship in the main event. It was when Jeff Hardy did the Swanton Bomb off of the semi onto Umaga, and I believe that's the same night that Randy Orton and Triple H battled it out for the WWE Championship, and Randy Orton got tossed outside the ring and then ended up dislocating his shoulder. But otherwise, I don't remember when the last time a PLE came to San Diego. Plus, one of the premier PLEs. I mean, think about the staple of WWE and pay-per-views. It lingers around the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and the Survivor Series. It was also an exciting time because John Cena, who is set to retire on December 13th, has his last pay-per-view and it's at San Diego, which I think creates so much history. And so, I'm already going into it excited, watching. I'm telling the kids, I'm telling the family, look, don't bother me. This is on at 7. I'm tuning it on. I'm going to watch it. You guys could go to the other room. You guys could watch it with me. I don't care, but I'm going to watch it. So, I'm leading into this. There's 4 matches on the card. And you say Petco Park is already a unique and strange thing, as is. You have that batter's eye, which is open, and you can see pass out to Gallagher Square. And their stage is on the home field dugout. And then it makes this L shape out to the ring where there's 4 metal beams that hold up a Titantron wrapped around and a canopy for the rings, if that's going to hold the War Game cell. But I liked how the WWE, what I liked about it is that the WWE used their surroundings for the production to benefit them. They used that stage out there in Gallagher Square to host the pre and post show for Survivor Series, which was able to welcome as much crowd as you could have in an open area. You're still technically inside Petco Park. You're just in the park area. What I don't like is that you saw a lot of people complaining over obstruction views. Saw a video or a post the other day about they're a fan, and in front of them shows a sign, section 22, and it covers 2/3 of the ring. Or you have these 4 metal beams that are holding up this Titantron in that cage that clearly obstructs where you can see the ring from or the action from. I feel like this is where the complications become obscured, because you have a location, you have an arena or a stadium that is not designed to see up close things from a faraway distance. You are at a distance. People who sit all the way back in the left field, right field side are going to struggle seeing things, and you rely on the Titantron, which I hope it was at least big enough for them to watch, to see it. And I don't think they had the Titantron up on the big screen out there in left field. I don't know. I didn't see any pictures. But I think that's the struggles that come with having it at a stadium compared to an arena. The other problem that I run into is that we run into a comparison between WWE War Games and AEW's Blood and Guts. And we're going to get a harsh comparison of who's the better product. Now, the one thing I need people to understand from the resolution of the women's and men's War Games matches, WWE tells a different type of story that is not as crucifying as it would be for AEW's Blood and Guts. A couple weeks ago, AEW had Blood and Guts, had 2 War Games involved. And it was pretty gnarly, especially for the women's side. Excuse me. I want to apologize. My family has been dealing with some sinus allergies over the weekend, and I end up getting the last string of it. So I'm just kind of coming over a sinus allergy. So the reason why I want to explain this is because AEW's dynamic of professional wrestling is different than the WWE's. And as we go through both of these War Games here in a moment, I want you to understand what WWE is trying to get out of it. And I do agree, a lot of people are calling it lackluster, and I think there are some points where it was not as thrilling as it should have been. But I rather take a little bit less, knowing that every athlete's walking out okay, and they can compete the next day if needed, than to completely traumatize a child who is probably sitting in the first row, excited to watch their favorite superstar compete, and then have to be carted off of a stretcher. There was no shark cage this year for War Games. And you know what? I'm perfectly fine, because if you think about it, do you really think Brock Lesnar would do well inside a cage, a small cage, by the way, with anybody among that list of his partners? I don't care if they're friends or not. Brock Lesnar is not a people person, and I don't think he would do well inside that cage with anyone else. The other thing that I had problems with was the setup for the venue. They have the pyro. You got to remember the stage is L-shaped, and the pyro goes off above the stage, which I thought was great. But that meant the superstars had to angle themselves to be in front of the pyro. Well, the women's had their pyro go off, and they had to go towards the corner of the ring, and the pyro was blocked or obscured by that metal beam. So then men's War Games, you still had off at an angle still. And so it was just kind of off. But for what the WWE's given, I mean, I can't complain. It was Survivor Series. And we literally saw what we saw was a set of all-star talented performers, your best of the best, the top of the food chain on the WWE main roster, go at it in competition. And you got to kind of see all in one. So let's get started into the women's War Games. I considered it was being a lackluster. The match focused, in my opinion, around AJ Lee and the Becky Lynch feud that they've had going on. I wasn't surprised to see Io Sky repeat her trash can jump from the top of the cage, but that was seemed to be the only excitement that we had during the match. Lash Legend, the final opponent or final partner, came in and really dominated um, in a push like substance, which I really enjoyed. It felt to me there was just too much talent inside that one ring, and they didn't really seem to do anything. You know, I'm trying to comprehend about all of this, and as for as much as I try, I mean, I'm trying to give a little leeway to both sides. And the conclusion that I've came up with in this scenario is that your Charlotte Flair is not the same person she was 5 years ago. Probably would have expected her to do a moonsault off the top of the cage, or Alexa Bliss doing a finisher off the top of the cage. Um, Probably two people that probably you wouldn't want them on the top of the cage due to injuries. Rhea Ripley's probably being a little bit extra protective with that face mask on. I don't think Nia Jax or Lash Legend is going to the top of the cage. But then we also didn't see as much of weapons as we probably would have liked to see. Now, yeah, I don't think the ring needs to be full of carnage and weapons, but all you're doing is having just a basic wrestling match until all 10 contestants could get in the ring before then everyone hits their finishers and then move right along. So I hate to say it, because I was happy to see Rhea Ripley, AJ, Lee. I liked the little moment that Becky Lynch, realized that everything was crumbling down. She tries to escape, but then she tapped out, or supposedly she didn't tap out. She was calling for her opponent to end the match, but otherwise that was it. Now, if you're 11 years old and watching this is like, okay, what did we just watch? That was crazy. But for someone who have seen this year after year after year, we already know what to expect, and I don't think we were impressed by it. Now, probably one of the best matches of the entire night was the Intercontinental Championship. Now, we've already predicted that John Cena didn't need to have a title going around his waist heading into his final match December 13th. That doesn't mean that he still can't have a last pay-per-view match that ended well. Now, I was trying to put this together before the show, or before John Cena's match. It was like, we knew John Cena was going to lose, but how was he going to lose? And the only way that we know how Dominic could win is by lie, cheat, and steal. And we try to steal a little bit of every of that. Dominic Mysterio fakes an injury. Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez attempts to get involved. They get barred from ringside. The ref gets knocked out. Liv Morgan comes out, thinks that by slapping Dominic, she's chose John Cena's side, but instead she lows blows John Cena, and Dominic picks up the victory. So Liv Morgan makes a return. She's still very obsessed with Dirty Dom. John Cena loses his final career pay-per-view match and the Intercontinental Championship. What I found interesting is later in the night, we saw a backstage award that WWE is hooking up two fans with some exclusive tickets and whatnot. Guess who was giving out that award? Roxanne Perez. And I just wouldn't have imagined that. Now, this is going to be a preference thing. We're in San Diego. And I know, look, Dominic Mysterio is having the spotlight. He's doing this, he's doing that. I think that's great. I would have liked to see Rey Mysterio get involved somehow, knowing that he's from San Diego. We had the Women's World Championship, probably one of the better female matches of the night. I didn't really pay much attention to it, in all opinion. I feel like Nikki Bella, as she's on her final run, does she deserve a championship? I don't know. Will the WWE give her a championship? Sure. Um, I feel like having it on a night where John Cena is having his final match is, you know, feel like it's taking the spotlight away from John Cena. And all it did is just it angered Stephanie Valkyrie even more. And I think it puts the entire roster on notice. Men's War Games. Obviously, the biggest question that comes out of it is, who is that mystery person who cost CM Punk the match? CM Punk. Not Team CM Punk. CM Punk. I'll tell you what I did like. I love the brawl between Brock and Roman outside that ring. I wish it would have went on just a little bit longer, but they got right to the point, and then everything turned. I mean, the team vision dominated the entire match. Okay. It felt like you got your WWE champion, your World Heavyweight champion. You got Brock Lesnar. You got Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre, or they're all dominating. The Usos and Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. And it's like, it makes you question, why are they champions? But where were the weapons? Out of either matches, you would figure that maybe the men's had a little bit more weapons to display than anything else. This mystery person comes out from out of nowhere, climbs the cage with ease, curb stomps, CM Punk, and quickly leaves the ring. I don't think it's Seth Rollins unless he's faking another injury. And then you ask who has moved out or moved away, or who has been able to move that fast in the ring. Braun Breaker spears CM Punk, picks up the victory. Now, in my opinion, Braun Breaker should be someone who's next in line to receive a championship match against CM Punk. What I caught interesting is you could tell the feud between Roman and Cody has unfinished business. Roman says that he's not going to team up with Cody ever again. And so we are left with uncertainty and a broken team that was not complete to begin with. I think a part of it creates a storyline heading towards WrestleMania. Right now, if WrestleMania was to take place tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if WWE threw out Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee. Another Roman Reigns versus Cody. Braun Breaker versus CM Punk. Or whoever that mystery opponent is. My point is that sometimes you have to move that story along by telling a little bit here and there. We told some stories at Survivor Series. So I mean, although there was a lackluster for the amount of such good talent WWE had on Survivor Series, 24 people. Okay. I don't think we got a show. We probably could have got a better show with the same talent split up. But Monday Night Raws tonight. We continue with the semifinal matches for the John Cena tournament. And hopefully we learn a little bit more about who the masked person is. I'm going to be honest, let's sit on it for a couple weeks. Let's get to the Royal Rumble. Let's get to a Braun Breaker to a CM Punk match. And let's get to maybe even this person returning, costing CM Punk the championship at this time. I mean, we're not in a rush to reveal who this person is. Maybe it's the final member of the Vision that we're thinking about, has to be somebody. So who is going to be the initial question? All right. Let's jump on over to the AFC North because the Thanksgiving weekend was a delight to see, wasn't it? I know things aren't going the Bengals' way, but we saw Joe Burrow return. And not only he returned, but he beat those Baltimore Ravens by double the points the Ravens scored. Bengals win 32-14. Kind of just feels good to have a victory on your sleeve. Keeps the postseason alive and moving. Now, I think it just goes to show, look, I get it. We've been preaching for the past 12 weeks that depending on what the record looks like, why even trot Burrow back out there. But I tell you this, he wants to play football. And why stop a man from doing what he loves to do? And so maybe this gives a little bit of spark, a little bit of hope, a little bit of faith in the Bengals nation. 5 more weeks are on the dock. We have to go to the Buffalo Bills, who are 8-4, and sit as the third spot in the wild card race. Then we got to come back home and play against the Ravens. And then we got a game against the Dolphins, against the Cardinals, and against the Browns. I'm thinking that could go 5-0. So what we can do, and only thing we can do, is focus on us winning and playing solid football. That's all we're focused on. Winning the next 5 games. We have one team that's above 500 that's currently on our schedule. That is the Bills coming up. The Ravens are 6-6. The Dolphins are 5-7. The Browns are 3-9. I don't know what the Cardinals are, but I don't think they're winning either. So let's say we go to a 9. Let's say we win the next 5 games, and we move to 5-8, or 9-8. We finish the season off 9-8. What does that mean? And that means the Ravens and the Steelers can only win 3 more games. Because we would have a better division record. It would be 5-1 compared to what the Ravens and the Steelers are. Now, we'll get an opportunity to play spoiler with the Ravens coming up here in 2 weeks. But coming up this weekend, the Steelers and the Ravens do battle. I believe they do battle again at the end of the year. So, if we go 9-8, do we have hopes for a wild card? Not really. We have the Chargers, the Colts, and the Bills all needing to win at least 1 game. The Texans are outside looking in, followed by the Steelers and the Chiefs, the Dolphins, and then us. And have to have an honest miracle in order for that to happen. So our best bet is a division championship, which means Baltimore is going to have to continue losing. And the Steelers, boy, they just can't get back on track, huh? So it's a do or die situation. The 49ers beat the Browns 26-8. Buffalo Bills beat the Steelers 26-7, so both of them lost. Ravens still sit in first place at 6-7, 6-6, with 5 games left. The best thing they could do is be 11-6. So can the Steelers. So I think that Aaron Rodgers is banged up with a hand. He's not going to be healthy anytime soon. But he's still your best, better quarterback to put out there on the field than Mason Rudolph. Unfortunately. The Ravens are not confident. As a matter of fact, if the rest of the Ravens' opponents this season took anything away from their loss on Thanksgiving, all you got to do is put on the run game. Matter of fact, surprised we didn't see more of the run game from the Bengals. Maybe that changes. Because if you have a decent running back, you're going to run all over the Ravens. And you have a chance to break it away too. So, but man, it's going to come down to the wire. This is not the anxiety that I want to see. I hate because we go through this each and every year. Kind of let's just rip the Band-Aid off, get it over with, but it creates interesting football for this division heading into the last month of the season. And it's interesting because I'm not used to seeing this team or this division kind of suck like compared to the AFC South. But the AFC South has 3 teams on the winning side of the ball. Jaguars, Colts. Let's not forget those Texans are 7-5. I'm impressed. I don't know about you. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. We'll be back at it tomorrow with some more content. I don't know what yet, but we have a lot more to discuss after week 13. This is holiday season, so whatever you guys are doing, like I said, I just want you guys to be out there safe and secure. And if you guys have some extra money, a perfect Christmas present for your loved ones is getting some tickets to the upcoming theater production, Grassroots, One Porch, One Letter, 1,000 Hearts Changed, coming to you for 2 weekends. The weekend of February 20th and the weekend of February 27th. Back-to-back weekends, 8 performances. Get your tickets now at tickettailor.com. I will have the link down below in the description. That's all the time we have. Until next time, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay warm, stay dry, and you guys take care. We'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for tuning in.